I just feel all my personality is pent up into like this 5'3" little character, and I have nowhere else to go. So I decided, you know what, enough's enough. Let's just create my own thing.
Awesome. Very cool. So, what do you actually, so like, let's talk about it. Like, I see it like moving quick too. So it's almost like you made the decision and you just went, and sort of like what you did, you were like, I want to get into media. And I mean, you got into the Daily Mail, which isn't a small thing either. So that's sort of why I'm having you on here, because like there's an empowerment thing there, right? Like it's awesome to see like you're just one of those people that can see something and then go get it. So that's what I want to talk about. So you went to the Daily Mail. How did that go? Like, what sort of responsibilities did you have there?
So I am still there. It's just mostly about getting video and complimenting articles with them, with whatever's going on in terms of like politics, in terms of people who have workout success stories, and people who have small businesses that are booming and stuff like that. We'll feature that. But I work on the video side of things, so it's kind of just all about getting the video and putting them into stuff. So that's what I've been doing. Is it my dream job? No, but it's definitely a start. It's definitely in. So I've been doing a lot of, right now, I've been doing a lot of like self-branding and just kind of transitioning into work life in New York to doing my own thing. And yes, going up really friggin' quick. I still have no idea what's going on right now.
That's the way it is. That's the way it is. Seriously, you just like look around, you're like, oh my God, like I gotta keep everything.
Yeah, I woke up one day and it's just like, you got a magazine cover deal. And I'm like, excuse me?
I thought I was like, whoa.
I know.
So that's the thing, and it's like you're talking about featuring. So what's cool about what you're doing is I feel like you were almost on the other side of it too, which might make that a little easier for you because you're on the side of it at Daily Mail who's featuring people, right? And now you're the one out there getting featured. So I think that's like just super unique because a lot of people that influence never had that other side of it, right? So you're seeing all this content come in and you're like, okay, like, whoa, like I have to edit this and feature it and stuff. So is there anything in particular you look for when you're looking at stuff to feature?
Like for myself and for my brand?
Yeah, both.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, I mean, as far as like the company goes, the company has like a very strict way of doing things. They have like a very set way, and it's very hard to follow that when you're a really creative person. So I kind of wanted to branch out and make my own sort of thing. So it's for me, when I look for somebody to feature on my podcast, or when I want to take interest in having somebody on my own kind of thing, I really look for someone who's really passionate about what they do and isn't concerned with doing things the traditional way. Like, I love hearing stories about people who, the idea comes to them and then they really just put their heart and soul into it. Because, in this world, you can't be half-assed with the things that you do. Because if you're going to be half-assed, it's not going to work out. You've got to be passionate about it. And I like energy. You have to be able to match someone's energy. Because if you don't, yeah, it's not going to be good. I can't be with someone who's low energy, who's like very monotone, just doesn't have to drive. We always like to see people who really, push the limits, push the boundaries, and take risks and bet on themselves. So that's important.
Of course. I agree. It's huge, the inspiration to work with somebody, right? So that motivational thing for you is huge, and a lot of your brand, I feel like, is that. And what's interesting about this is sort of my method too. With when it comes to building a brand, it's like you didn't go out and add things. You instead like looked at what's going on here, right. And then that reflected out. And that's to me like any good brand. Like I read that book. I always talk about this when I talk branding. Mark Ecko's book, Unlabel. Instead of labeling yourself, he unlabels, right? He pulls away. Who am I? What do I like to do? What am I about? What are my values? All that stuff. And even like the Italian, like your logo's literally the Italian flag and stuff. Like that's awesome. And Teflon, like tough, strong.
Yeah.
That didn't take a lot of thought. You were just like, that's me, Yeah. And I think that's the genius thing about branding and what you're doing. It's like you just got right into it.
It's funny because that whole thing came about, I was just goofing around. I was watching a John Gotti documentary with my mom on DVR, and I was like, "Wait, I want to watch this." So I watched it, and then they mentioned the Teflon Don, and I was like, "Teflon Don?" I was like, "Teflon Mon," and I was like, "Wait a second, that's it." And let me tell you, for someone who's been really trying to make her own thing happen for a while, like trying, you know, a little bit of Monica, you know, the Lou Bega song, like trying to just like make it took me years to really figure it out. And when it happened, it hit me. So many things could change in a matter of like days, seconds, hours, minutes. It's ridiculous.
It really is like boom right away.
And like you mentioned about taking away labels and stuff, that's like this whole influencer culture is like really toxic in terms of that kind of stuff. So you've got people who label themselves as influencers, and I just feel like that's the norm. Everyone's doing it, and I'm sick of doing what everyone else is doing. So like sick of this rip away the influencer thing. Like, who am I influencing? I don't care. As long as I'm like helping myself, I don't care who I'm influencing. That's why I like to call myself like a disruptor. I want to influence someone. I want to fuck something up. So I want to like really shake things up. I really want to let people look at things in a different way. So that's why I like to consider myself a disruptor, not an influencer.
That's the best. I love that. A disruptor. Who does that? I saw there was somebody. There was a pop star, somebody, singer. Somebody said that. They're like, yeah, I just disrupt media. I think it was like BB Rexa, one of those singers, and that's the whole thing, right? It's like you're doing it that unorthodox way, which I love, but it's actually the right way to do it, right? People will be like, "Oh my God, like you're doing something, you're not doing it the right way, you're not following the rules," and that's the way you gotta do anything. Musicians do that all the time. Artists do that all the time. I never see success from somebody that followed a really cookie cutter set of rules. At some point, you gotta break them, right? Even with like writing and songwriting and stuff, like you learn the rules to break them. I think that since there's such a rise in influencing, for artists and anyone that's looking to expand, I think influencing has become the new like growth hack, right? There used to be different things, right? You could run ads, you could do all these different things and pay for placements and stuff, but now if you're getting a shout out from somebody that may have a little bit more of a following than you, or is into an industry that you want to get into, that's sort of the way to kind of like slingshot your way up, right? And grow your business quicker. It takes a lot of that fearless embracing of like, this is what I'm doing, this is what I'm going to do. So is there any fear that you kind of had before you were starting this?
Oh my God, absolutely. And every day I still have that fear. So growing up, it was like you have to do things the traditional way, because I come from a very traditional family where it's like you go to school, you get the degree, you graduate, you apply to jobs, and that's it. You work your whole life. And now I'm like, well, shit, is this really it? Like, I hate this. And I'm like, well, I'm sick of this. I want to create something for myself. So now it's like, now I'm facing, you know, the fear of, well, what if it doesn't work out? It's always the what ifs. What if it doesn't work out? What if, you know, I don't connect with anybody? What if I lose my job and then I'm stuck with not having any kind of income? Because I have to balance this brand and getting some sort of income, because I don't have an income right now, at least not yet. And you know, from my brand, I have no income yet. But right now, it's all about, you know, I don't want to impress my parents anymore. I'm not concerned with being like, oh, congrats, you got the job. Like, it's, you know, I was afraid of not doing what my parents wanted me to do. And that was, you know, getting into the work industry of, you know, modeling, act, like all that kind of good stuff that will really project me and put me into that spotlight. I was more focused on getting the job, committing to work, doing the, you know, being good. And now it's like, I'm sick of it. So I was, every single day, I'm afraid that, what if it doesn't work out? What if I fizzle out? What if, and it's like, I have to keep thinking of the next step. You've got to be one step ahead in this industry. Always. You have to think of the future. And I mean, it's funny because, you know, I'm such a worrier and I have such anxiety, but I'm using that anxiety to what can help me. I worry about the future. That's my anxiety, but how can I turn that into helping my brand? What's the next step?
Of course. Agreed. Yeah. That fear almost has a purpose then. Talked about this last week too, how that fear is kind of like my my roadmap, right? When I'm afraid of something, I'm like, I'm gonna go that way. You know, I'm not gonna run away from it. I'm gonna go right into it.
Yeah.
And like you, like I really had a hard time. Like my whole family, like Italian family too, and they're like, well, "That's not a real job," or like all this stuff, and I'm like,
Yep.
I had to stop trying to impress them.
Yeah.
And that's when I started to go down my own road. Anybody, like once you stop trying to validate yourself from anything external, that's when you can really jump in and be yourself when it comes to media. I feel like any sort of media, from an artist, anything creative, because you're super creative. And that's also the thing with some of these modern day media companies too. It's like, where's the room to be creative? Pulling off those boundaries, right? That's what I love about what you're doing, because then it's you're your own boss, and it's like a startup, right? It's like starting up a business. You know, you're still figuring out who you want to work with, what brands you want to work with. How are you figuring out which brands you want to work with? I saw you do some CBD stuff. What's sort of like your process of going out and finding some brands that you want to work with?
So that's a really great question. Well, if I'm not getting approached, if I'm not approached by people and their companies and business to send me stuff, I will go out there and I will, reach out to them personally and be like, "Hi, I noticed that you have a really great company. I love what you do. I love what you stand for. I'm willing to promote you as best I can on my YouTube, on my IGTV, on my IG Live, on my stories, post whatever it is, just to help get yourself out there." So I've had personally people reach out to me from the wine company reached out to me that I did, some underwear company reached out to me, and then a skincare company reached out to me. I reached out to the CBD company because I noticed that they started liking my pictures. So I was like, okay, this is an interesting company. Let me reach out to them myself. So I said, hey, I really love using CBD. Like even just in the past, I have. I've been reached out to by another company, but I just feel like sometimes if you're not doing anything, you have to kind of create that yourself, and just don't be afraid to really poke people and really go after it, message somebody, because if you don't do it, you won't get the opportunity. If you don't ask, the answer is always no, and I live by that always. So, if there's something that can really benefit me and benefit my followers, benefit anybody, I will specifically go out of my way to be like, hey, I'm interested. Let's work together.
100%. There's always that fear of like reaching out to anyone. It's interesting how if you reach out to a company that's really about what you're doing, and you say, like, I love your message, it's so in line with what I'm doing, I'd love to do a review. If they don't ask you already, like 9 times out of 10 they're gonna say yes. They're gonna send you stuff. That happened with me too. Like I'm on Instagram and I got a DM from like a jewelry company that makes stuff out of broken symbols, and they sent me stuff like, I'm gonna send you something. I'm like, what? Like, I'm not an influencer by any means, but I'm like, yeah. Like, then they sent me this necklace, and I actually the way they just were like, hey, I'm gonna send you this for free, it inspired me. I'm like, I want to do a video about this. Like,
exactly.
You're awesome. You're not pushing anything. Gym Life 9103. Okay, sorry. Let me just like boop. Yeah.
Fuck bullshit. What?
Yeah, I don't know what's up with that, but see ya. Sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, I don't know. So if you guys have real questions, feel free to post them in here about influencing. But
yes, send the questions. Send them coming.
So that's the thing. It's right. It's like most companies will do that. Good ones. I mean, that's the way I see marketing going, especially on social media now. If you're getting an ad, like, I hate getting ads, right? If I'm on my story and I see an ad for something, I'm like, goodbye. You know, like, I just don't think
it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't see that as the way. Oh, you got a question. I don't see that as a way to market nowadays. I think that way is dying. Gary Vee just said something about Instagram's marketing, kind of that way where all businesses are used to doing it is on its way out. And he's saying that their text messaging is a new big way to market, which I kind of don't agree on, because there's nothing worse than waking up to a text message saying, oh, 50% off, you know. I think that the new way is people like you that are utilizing all of the channels, right? So what do you have? You have YouTube, you have Instagram. What else are you running?
I'm trying to run Twitter. I just don't like it. It's not my thing. But my big ones are, I'm using IGTV a lot more. I like it because it's an easier way to share my videos. And because people don't really feel like opening up the app. Because I mean, I feel like more people use Instagram than they do YouTube. That may be just me. You know, everyone uses Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Snapchat, and yeah. So I'll post to my IGTV as well as my YouTube.
That's awesome. Yeah, YouTube's great. I think YouTube and Instagram are the big ones. You got a question. What inspired you to try to become an influencer?
Julia. So Julia is my friend for such a long time. She's the best. So I always was obsessed with like the concept of, you know, modeling and all that kind of stuff. But I was always too short to do that because I'm like 5'3". No one's gonna want to put me on a magazine or whatever. At least so I thought.
Did it?
Yeah, no, I did it. But I think I just wanted to start my own thing for myself. I was sick of living by somebody else's rules, and I was sick of following the rules in like my own family life and in the work field life. So I just decided to do things myself and kind of change that and just kind of be like an honest version of an influencer. Because everyone in the influencer life gets the nose jobs, they get the tummy tucks, they get the butt lifts, they all look the same. They're all promoting, you know, sugar bear hair and all that other crap that no one even cares about. And it's just like, okay, let's take that. That's great, you're doing great, but let's take it and let's make it into something more honest and like genuine. So I kind of want to be like a new wave of influencer, if you can say that, and just not call myself influencer just because I like the term disruptor. Being honest and true to yourself, that's the best way to get a following. Everyone's going to want to hear your opinion, even if they don't share the same thing. They're going to want to keep coming back to you, being like, damn, this girl's really unfiltered. Damn, this girl really doesn't follow the rules. I want to just, like, even if I don't like her, I just want to look what she's doing. That's what really inspired me.
Agreed. I love that. I love what you're saying. The same thing. I see this a lot with artists and people that work with me, and it's like, it's not about the numbers. It's not about any of that. I'd rather have 5 real diehard fans than I would 5,000 fake fans. You know what I'm saying? The thing is, if people don't like what I have to say, unfollow me. Don't look at my stuff. Unfollow me. I'm not necessarily worried about that. The people that we're trying to attract, right? The people that you're trying to attract, probably have a lot in common with you. They're not gonna sit on your page and attack everything you're posting. It's like you don't want those people. So be yourself and let that process sort of wean the people that aren't your fans out. Number one, and the only way you can do that is by doing what you're doing and just taking the filters off and being yourself, not being afraid to be yourself. I think that is the best way to grow organically. Number one, there's no other secret to it. I think just being yourself and showing that is huge. And a lot of the content that you do shows that. Are you doing any planning with your content, or are you just like saying, you know what, I'm just going to be myself today and record it?
Yeah, that's almost exactly how it's been going. And a few things on that is, I mean, when I start to see my hard work pay off and when I'm seeing the growth start to happen, I've been weeding out a couple people in my life who I noticed that are great. They're here for me in the lows, but clearly they're not here for me in the highest places. And that's, I mean, yeah, you need somebody at the most when you're in your lows. You need just when you're in your highs. You need someone who's going to actually say the words congratulations to you and share your content and actually really be a good friend and be a good following fan or whatever. And I've got people who I've never even met before in person who are sharing my stuff, who are complimenting, who are giving me love, and I'm like, wow, it really shows like who's really a friend and who's really a fan. And when it comes to creating content, it really is. If I feel like really being out there today, I'm going to. I just filmed a podcast today about it has to do like with political opinion and stuff like that. I've been trying to avoid that because I don't want to get hate sometimes. Like, well, most of the time I don't want to get hate. Who wants to get hate? Nobody. But you have to be able to suck it up and be like, listen, I don't give a fuck today. I'm going to do this. I'm going to film what it's like to be this kind of politically leaning and see what happens. Because honestly, I'm going to get hate from that, but I'm going to get a lot of people who are like, damn, I feel the exact same way, but I'm too scared to admit it. And that's a good thing, like being able to speak for other people and have a voice for others is one of the most satisfying things. And I really want to do that sometimes. But other times I'll bullshit and I'll talk about some other stuff. Talk about, relationship advice or celebrity gossip or, make that whole kind of thing. But sometimes I really want to get controversial because if you're afraid to be controversial, you're not going to do anything. You got to stir it up.
Yeah, all publicity is good publicity. That's what
That's right.
that's what I was told the first thing I moved to LA, and I wanted to get in the music industry. My business class, the first page on the board was all publicity is good publicity. So write that down, anybody, because that's the truth. You know, it really is.
It really is. I mean, if people are talking about you, then you might as well just be do whatever you're going to do, because that's just the way it goes. If you're going to stay in your comfort zone and not shake things up, you won't get anywhere. There won't be any change.
Yeah, it's not like deliberately going out and being like, oh, if I do this, people are gonna hate me. It's understanding that anytime you put content online, right? Whether it's music, whether it's video, whether it's stories, whatever you're doing, that's gonna be there. Like, people will say stuff no matter what, right?
Yeah.
And that's just another thing you have to push aside if you're gonna go forward and pursue any sort of path in art or media or creativity. Is always going to be there. That you can't stop it. So embracing it and understanding that none of it's true, number one, and you just got to just keep being yourself. The people that, it's like a law of attraction. The people that are supposed to be there, they come. And I understand what you're saying about the people that are there for you and their lows, and then when you're high, it's hard to get that congratulation. And it's like, okay, that's another part of this career, I feel like, is, you know, protecting yourself in that sense. You know, if somebody can't congratulate you at your high, you know, it's, you know, they shouldn't be on your team. You know, building your team is probably a whole nother ball game for you, because it's a hard thing in any sort of creative industry, working with engineers and publishers and record labels. And, you know, there's just some of those people and things that just don't line up with your brand, and that's okay. That's something I had to learn the hard way. I was like, you know what, like, not this brand is not for everybody. You know, your artist, your band, your music, your pictures, whatever it is, might not be for everybody, and that's okay.
Exactly.
What else?
Yeah, I like that. I like that because it's very interesting to see the people who you've grown up with, and then they watch you actually making something out of yourself, and they feel bad about themselves not doing that growth, not doing their own kind of growth. So they're not going to congratulate you because they're still stuck. They're still stuck in the same place, and like, it's like, it's upsetting, and you want to be supportive of that, but also you have to make room for growth. Like, if they're not, if you like, it's okay to grow out of friendships. It's okay to grow out of people. You know what I mean? You know, and it's always scary. You know, it's like, damn, I've been friends with this person for such a long time. But it's like, if they can't even be there for you and support you through whatever it may be, then, like, why even have them in your life? It's all about growth, and all the different areas of your life. That's what I'm learning.
That's partially what your brand's about too, and that's what I'm noticing is it's all coming at, like, when you do this, it's hard to not let what you're about shine through, right? It's okay to grow out of friendships. It's okay to move away from things that that aren't serving what you're doing, or in general bring you unhappiness. Especially, like, now we're in a pandemic still, and a lot of people are online, and a lot of people are isolated, and it's a challenge to find, like, the right stuff online, you know, and the right people. It's just so overpopulated in a sense, right? Like I feel like Instagram is like the LA of overpopulation.
Oh my gosh, yeah, more than ever.
Yeah. So you have to weed out all the right things, all the right people, all the right friends, all the right brands. I want to jump into that magazine. Like that's huge. Congrats on that.
I know.
I just want to know. I'm never growing out of my fridge. Serena, yeah.
That's my best friend. That's my best friend.
Awesome. Okay, this guy. Sorry, guys. We got some.
Can you get your hair down?
We got some
comments. Live, huh?
We got some weird comments today. Hey, buddy.
Serena, I love her so much.
So the magazine, how did that happen? I want to know how that happened, what it's about. You're on the cover, it's huge.
Yes. So This whole thing started because I saw somebody who I knew, who I met through a mutual friend, and she was doing this masterclass online. I'm not going to be like a walking advertisement for this masterclass, but I do want to mention that it has helped me significantly to get what I just got. So I took this masterclass. His name is Fame by Shiraz, and I paid for the masterclass, obviously. And then when I finished it, I told him, okay, I finished the class. And then he started teaching me to other people. And this just goes to show how much connections and networking will really push yourself and push your brand up to the next level. So I'm stuck here trying to make something of myself. And then I see this, I reach out to this guy, took the masterclass, done with it, talk to this guy. Next thing I know, he's reaching out to these people at NY Magazine, the editors, the writers, the photographers, and they're like, okay, like she's an up and coming podcast person, like let's feature her. So I had the pictures done, makeup done, I submitted them, I had a whole write up done, just about who I am as a person, the adversities that I faced, all the challenges, how I've overcome them, and they did it, and I'm going to be on the November issue. So I just think it's just incredible to just watch how you grow your brand and who you just pick and choose who you decide to tell. Because there are people who are not going to be in your best interest, and there's people who really genuinely want to help you and push you. So I'm just thankful that I came across this guy who really just took me and just pushed me to the next level. So now this magazine is international. The next thing I know, I could have somebody else reach out to me for something else, and it's all going to lead. It's all a chain reaction. So this is really exciting for me. I have not stopped thinking about it. It's really exciting. And you make a bunch of new friends along the way who have also taken this masterclass. So now you're helping each other out. Like Brittany, she's in here right now.
I was just going to say, I could see that. They're all...
It's awesome. It's really cool to meet the people. Everyone comes from different walks of life, and they all come from different goals. They have different aspirations, different paths. We all have that one thing in common, and that is your brand. That's your baby. And to really expand it and make something of it.
It's awesome. Yeah, I could totally see, like, you have so much support. They're jumping in and out of here, everyone.
I know. It's sweet. It's really awesome.
That's community. That's community. That's what it's all about. It's building community. That's like, if I had to put this in one word, how to succeed as a creative and influencer, it's build community. Like, you just need to build a community, not try to sell stuff to people in a very like, here's what I'm selling. You don't have to lie to people and make up all this stuff like some of these ads where they rent a really expensive Range Rover and they film it in a mansion. Like, oh, I got it. Like, no, like you don't have to rent a private jet. Like, you could totally make a brand with your iPhone and your laptop and just speak the truth. And I think it works. You know, we have that ability now. It's incredible what kind of abilities we have in media now. I just, that's the way brands are growing. And like you said, you got these placements because of somebody noticed you, and he noticed your hard work and your hustle and your passion, and he did some PR for you, right? Like, so that's the thing. It's like all that stuff comes when everything else is right. Everything else has to be right first, because you just don't stick out the right way until you're really organic and you have a community behind you. I think that community is the most important part.
Yeah, because you know, the community is like, I've never even met these people in real life, and some of them are more supportive than some of the people that I know in person. And it's like, if you have that solid, you know, group, even if it's just online, that like, you know, it weighs on you, and it's awesome, because, you know, growth gets lonely. It's going to be lonely. It's a lonely process, and you have to trust the process. So it's like, as long as you have that community, it doesn't have to be a person. Just those kind words, the support, the push, and promoting each other, and really, you know, it's not about competition in the community either, which is nice, because in this field that we are both in, or whoever, it gets competitive, and it breeds jealousy, it breeds resentment, it breeds like, oh, she's doing that for that person, why can't she just do that for me? Blah, blah, blah. And then you're like, well, now it's difficult. Now the community it's difficult. There's tension. So as long as you guys are building each other up, genuinely building each other up, genuinely sharing everything, it's great. At a little fun like that, it's awesome. And now like we see each other grow. It's like, oh my god.
It's awesome. Yeah,
That is cool.
that's the whole thing is the competition when you're doing it right, it kind of doesn't phase you.
Yeah.
Growing through my music career, same thing. You know, there's people they're gonna talk no matter what, and the people on the other side of that, it's just like I'm not paying attention. I have so much to do. I wake up, my schedule is written out. The content I have to do is written out. The songs I have to do are written out. The people I have to talk to and maintain my relationships. Your community becomes a friend. It's just people that you're talking to. That's how, like, you and I, we met that way, where it's like we just, you know, we support each other, we loved each other's content, and then, you know, it becomes a friendship first. And if anyone's looking to sell anything online, please don't jump in and be like, buy my thing. No, develop real relationships, because then once people are really, like, it's a two-way stream where you're talking and having organic conversations with people, and that engagement's up. If you post something, chances are that you don't even have to ask sometimes. They're going to be like, whoa, that's awesome. I like that. Like, or I'm going to support you, and I'm just going to jump. I'm going to grab that. You know, it's so much easier than pushing stuff in people's face. Same with music. Like a lot of artists I'm seeing, and this is totally the wrong way, where they'll send out the DMs. They'll be like, you know, here's my new EP, here's my new album. And I don't like that. I think that doesn't work.
No, it doesn't.
I'll unfollow people for that reason. And I push this so hard. I try to push this. It's why I talk to people like you, because you have to just trust the process of being fearless with who you are. That's the only way, whether you're a musician, whatever it is, that's the only thing that's going to do that for you. Every big brand at some point had to say, I'm going to go for it. You know, I'm going to go for it. You know, there's going to be a lot of hate. There's going to be a lot of people say I can't, but they pushed right through it. They kept going. And that's how you got to do it. All organic.
Yeah, and I mean, like you said, when people reach out to me about this stuff, and like, oh, like, you know, check out this about building any sort of relationship, and like, I just see that they're not very substantial people. Like, you know, because I like to share a lot of things in my Instagram stories that mean a lot to me, whether it be quotes, whether it be like imagery that's like my aesthetic. I like that, and I like to build, you know, things in common with other girls or other people who have similar goals, and like, you know, things like that. Yeah, as long as you know you comment on each other's Instagram stories, you share people's Instagram stories, you say, oh yeah, this is so true, whatever. And that's how you build a common ground. And then you're like, oh, okay, like things like, oh, this person's giving my posts attention, or oh, this person's sharing my Instagram stories. Like, that's really exciting. Let me see what this person's all about. That's how you do it. Yeah, I get DMs all the time, like, oh, you know, you check out this new thing I'm working on. And I'm like, well, now I'm not, because A, I don't want to follow the link because I don't really care. I don't know you. And it sounds shitty, doesn't it? It sounds really bad. But I mean, that's the reality of it. Like, if you're just looking for someone to listen to it, like, find a different platform. You like, it's all about community on Instagram. I feel like you have to be a community, because or else you're just gonna get disingenuous, you know, promotion, and you just there's no emotion behind it.
Yeah, you move away. I move away from that stuff. You know, it's like, imagine just being somewhere and somebody, like, you're out at night at a bar or something, and somebody walks up to you with like a T-shirt they're selling. You're like, buy this right now. Here's the link. It's like, whoa.
Yeah.
You're about, like, that's what
you're walking in the streets of New York City, and some guy's going to hand you his mixtape.
Yeah, they do it, you know, and then they ask you for $5. It's like, wait,
yeah.
So that's the exact way not to do this. Haters gonna hate no matter what you do. Jealousy is an ugly beast. Yes, it is, Danny. It's awful. But it comes with anything you try to do. That's the thing, like, right? Like, you can't treat Instagram as not as just like numbers. Like, you can't treat people online as just a number. That's not that. You're engaging and talking with actual people. And it's so easy to forget that when we're behind a screen. You know, you see a name or something on Instagram, you're like, you know, you got to understand, people got to understand that, like you're doing, it's like, these are people. These are my people. These are the community. We help each other out. We're helping each other grow. The competition, it's not the game to play. You focus on you, your people, your community, And you're a prime example of doing that, and you're seeing the success coming. You know, you didn't do anything special. You just decided, I'm going to be myself. And I'm going to show people it. And I think it's a beautiful thing to see that type of success.
Yeah, because there comes a time where like you feel like enough's enough. I'm sick of doing the everyday thing. I'm sick of because you can only do the everyday thing and the same routine every single day. And if you're not seeing results and getting fed up, okay, let me try this a different way. Let me see how I can really start to just put everything in overdrive. What am I willing to sacrifice? What am I willing to really push out and do? Like every day I sit in front of my backdrop and I just try and just push something out even when there's nothing. There's always something to talk about. There's always something going on. And even if I don't feel like it, I have my backdrop sitting in the corner of my room. So it's the first thing I look at when I wake up. It's the last thing I look at when I go to sleep. It always reminds me I'm willing to really put in this work, and I'm willing to really like create something for myself. Even if nobody watches, as long as you keep the consistency, it will build something.
I love that. I have my vision board too. First thing I see when I wake up. First thing.
Yeah.
Like, that's those reminders of where you're going. I noticed too something in your well, you got a lot of friends here. That's awesome. How many different nicknames you have? Mon, Monty, Teflon.
I have so many. It's so fun.
That's awesome.
It's fun. I love it.
I love it. So you can really see this community growing for you. This is something really important that I when I read your bio, it stuck out to me. Your unapologetic, can't read today. Unapologetic attitude blossomed from the hardworking women you've been surrounded with your whole life. So that again, it rubs off on you. Talk to me about some of those influences and how they got you so encouraged to keep moving.
Well, the biggest influence in my life is my mom. She always has been like my number one influencer in my life. Like if anyone's an influencer, it's your mother. Always.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing.
Whoever it is, the influencing comes from the home first, no matter who that is
in your life. And for me, that's my mom. So I grew up with the mindset she's really pushed onto me ever since I was a young kid. Badly enough, you will work for it, and
you're going to work for it.
No matter what it takes. As badly as you can breathe, you will get it. You will do it. So that's always been something that's instilled in me.
I've had a job.
Since I was 14 years old. I didn't grow up with many friends. I didn't grow up with many abilities. I didn't have any talents growing up. I wasn't athletic. I couldn't sing. I
dance professionally.
So what am I going to do? My mom was like, "Well, you're going to work." I worked. I got my own cell phone. I got my own checking account before the age of 16. I was just putting in my work, and I grew up fast.
So from that, I
just kind of learned to be just.
I've been around
all different kinds of people, all different kinds of personalities. I learned all different kinds of work, from the food industry to retail to now news, where I want to be.
And in entertainment, when I was internet entertainment, for a semester, like I've been around so many different kinds of people, and
I see how many different kinds of fake people there are. And then
I really do a lot of self-reflection on myself. I'm like, damn, what kind of person do I want to be? Do I want to be like somebody else?
I want to stay true to being an entertainment or a news or whatever. I want to be unapologetically myself.
So it's always been like my mom really pushing me to be the best I can be and to never let anybody bother me, because in this industry you're going to have to get a lot of tough thick skin, because that's how it is. I went through a really rough time in college, and I talk about it a couple of times, either on my
podcast or my YouTube channel, where I needed thick skin. I thought I had it, and apparently I didn't, because I went through 10 times worse issues in college,
where I was severely bullied. So I figured, my mom told me, and it will always stick with me. She goes, "You want to be something big one day,
you're gonna get thick skin. This is it. This is
God preparing you for the thick skin for when you become famous." Because you read the tabloids, like a celebrity is this, or all the celebrities.
It can be rumors, made up stories. They're still going to publish it anyway for the views.
So I felt like I was going through the same kind of thing. I was like, oh my God, they're saying fake shit about me and whatever it is. And now I've
gotten the thick skin. I don't care anyways about me, because I feel like I'm my own person, and it's like
I'm just unapologetic. No matter what you want to say it, because at the end of the day, I know myself and I know my friends and my fans.
Agreed. And I think that's the most important thing. I think what you said. You gotta copyright that. Being unapologetically yourself. I think that that's the key. We're running out of time. Instagram's gonna knock us off in a second.
Really?
Yes. The time.
I didn't know that.
But any questions here on what Monica's talking about? I brought her in because I believe that is the key to any brand. It's fearlessly being yourself, and once you can do that, the rest follows. I believe that, and I'll always be firm on that when it comes to marketing. There's no secret tricks. Although, of course, there's advertising with Facebook and Instagram ads, but you really need to do that if your content isn't right, and that's part of what we do a lot of is planning content that is about you. It's not about your industry per se. It's about your views on it all, your personal story. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's not selfish. It's an organic approach to growing. And I think it's, I love what you're doing. And it seems to just be picking up very quickly and super inspiring to watch.
Yeah, it's exciting. That's for sure. I feel like we need to do like a part 2. I feel like we both didn't get everything out that we wanted to say about this.
Another one. I'm gonna do another one starting on my page also.
We gotta do a part 2.
Yeah,
so happening. That's for sure.
We're gonna plan that after this. I'll definitely let you know what I got going on too. So any questions for Monica? Any more questions for Monica that aren't like some of those weird ones that we got, because I booted you guys. So
yeah. Nasty.
So I love it seeing you blossom. Everyone's got the same message for you. Hi from Ireland. Wow, that's awesome. Brandon, blossom. Oh, yeah, you got a lot of support. This is awesome to see. So thank you guys. I'm gonna post this. I'm gonna post links to Monica's page, her YouTube. Everything's there. Any questions about influencing or anything like that, reach out to her. Reach out to us. I'll post everything if anyone has any questions. Stay organic and just be yourself. And anything else to say, Monica?
Yay. No, thank you so much for having me on. I love this. I definitely want to do this again.
Got it. Of course, we will.
Yeah, thank you so much, Matt. It's always a pleasure. And yeah, I appreciate all your love and support always.
Always got your back.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you. Stick together. That's what it's all about.
That's it. All right, guys. Thank you. We'll see you soon. I'm going to post everything. So, bye.
All right. Bye.